I bet you out.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's two.
All right, listen up here.
I submitted one, it was sideways, and then one was driveway.
All right, Josh, sit down. The basic, couple of things going on. When you are adding, and we'll get to these other ones in a second, but when you're adding, you have to have the same radicand, which is the number inside. So 4 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3 is 9 square root of 3. No, that's just a bonus one there. Just pay attention. So that's 9 square root of 3. So if you got the same radicand, it's easy. Now you're not going to get a million of those. Because if you look at number 1 right now, if they don't have the same radicand, you can't add them. But what you must do is simplify first to see if they do break down to the same. So if I had, or if we had 3 square root of 2 plus 5 square root of 7, you can't add those together because the 2 and the 7 are both prime and they don't simplify. You would just leave that as your answer. But we always got to see whether they will break down further before we can say I'm done. And 20 and 45 both break down. 20 is 4 times 5 is 2 times 2. 45 is 9 times 5, 3 times 3. And so that becomes 2 times 2 times 5 plus that 7 is still on the outside. 3 times 3 times 5. All right, Joe, you with me here? No? You see how we got 4 times 5 is 20?
Yeah.
2 times 2 is 4. Do you remember what we do from this point when we simplify? Okay. And what's that give us? Okay. And then we're left with square root of 5 on the inside. Correct?
Yeah.
I got a pair of 3s. 1 3 comes out. If there's a number already out there, you multiply it together. So that's going to be 21. What's left inside the radicals of 5? No, you get. Do we have the same number on the inside of the radical?
Yes.
So I can add them together. So it's 2 plus 21. 23. So it's 23. All right, zip it. 23 square root of 5. So once you simplify it, if they can be added together, we got to add them together. So you got to check that first. 24, 6, 150. They're not the same. Can't add them yet. Grant, is that making sense so far?
Yeah.
So we got to simplify 2 square root of 24. Now, I'm going to help you out here. That is, so that's going to be 4 times 6, 2 times 2, 2 times 3. So I'm just going to, from here, I got 1 pair of 2s. That goes out, multiplies by that 2, which gives me 4. Multiply the 2 and 3 back together. 6 doesn't simplify. And I'm going to, let's see here, figure out that's 15 times 10, 3 times 5, 5 times 2. So that's going to end up giving me 15 square root of 6. Christian? Why is it what? Okay, because 6 is 2 times 3, and there's no pairs. You got to have a pair in order to simplify it. And so when you are left with more than one thing, you multiply it back together. So 6 is 2 times 3, but no pairs. All right, now I got 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 15, 14. Okay, so that's what we do there. Now we're gonna hit, so there's our two answers. Okay. Depending on how far you got here, there's your answers for 2 through 14. Take a second to look through those. We're gonna kind of review 11.6 and 11.7 today. We're gonna take a practice quiz tomorrow, quiz Thursday. So as we're moving here closer to the end of the 9 weeks, don't forget, like these formative or summative grades are gonna add up. All right, as you take a look at those, any questions maybe on what you got compared to what I got? The same as yesterday too.
I can go ahead and keep simplifying, so I think I just stopped at 36. But she kept
Slide bar.
going until
Yeah.
it's the one that I can't go in there. Yeah.
Well, 'cause I didn't have it down.
You get them all.
You had a pair of twos.
Yeah.
Well, you have pay, you hate it.
Because I was playing Roblox and I was on the level and I was about to save my progress and you
12 and then multiply it by 3.
Oh, no, Roblox.
I just, yeah.
Not Roblox.
I was
Can
playing
do
the
that.
whole class.
Okay, so we're going to guided notes now. Let's kind of go through those.
I think you're good, but I think you got it all.
So we've talked about this, let's hit it again. No perfect squares in the radicand, so square root of 20 cannot be a final answer. Because I know 4 times 5 gives me 20. It will reduce to 2 square root of 5. 2 and 3 tend to be the hardest. We're going to talk about those a little bit today. Fractions, dealing with those. You cannot have a fraction in the radicand because for this one here, I would take the square root of 3 over the square root of 4, and that would give me the square root of 3 over 2. That's okay. No square roots in any denominator. Right now, we don't know how to simplify that. We'll get to that in like section 11A. So that won't come up on the quiz, so don't worry about that. But just as something that you can't have. You cannot just stick this in your calculator and then write a decimal. You get no decimals for all of these. All right, for that first one, when you're simplifying that and you have something on these lines, go ahead, you can use your calculator, take what is 8 squared plus 16 squared. Go ahead and do that, figure that out. So we gotta simplify that too.
289.
Let everybody else get that.
Okay.
Why are you?
So now I'm sure you did it in one shot, which is fine, but this is 64 plus 225, which is 289. Before you start to do a factor tree, type in the square root of 289 and calculate it. Okay, you got a big number, you're not sure about it, just type that in. And now, what does it say? It says 17. That's your answer. It does not have a square root because it came out to a nice whole number. So that is our answer, 17. So every now and then, things work out nice. So you would not even put the radical on that. Okay. We talked about this one the other day, number 2. Hey, you got parentheses and you got something squared. Morgan, you remember what the answer would be?
6 minus X.
Good, it is 6 minus X. One little thing though, and I'm not gonna count off on it, that we said should be there.
Absolute value.
Absolute value when you have a variable. Because we technically, it could end up being a negative, we gotta make it a positive. So that's good if you kind of put that together. So that would be the absolute value of 6 minus X. 3 and 4 are just simplifying. All right, do a factor tree for 108. Go ahead and see what you get for that, or think what perfect square will multiply to get that, either way. All right, Jay Lee, how about, what'd you start with?
30 and 6.
To get 108?
Yeah.
Ooh, wait a minute. That's 180. That's 180. All right, so let's fix that. Colin, what'd you start with?
I started with 6 and 18.
6 and 18. I don't think too many other people started with that. Anybody else start with that?
Wait, what?
6 and 18.
Yeah, 6 and 18, that's what we got.
Now, it doesn't matter what you start with, it matters what you end with. So 6, 2 times 3, 18 is 2 times 9. And so 9 becomes 3 times 3. So here's what 108 will end up giving us. Now, don't forget about the 5 on the outside. I have 2 2s. 3 3s. Every pair gives me 1 on the outside. And we talked about this enough that when you take something out and there's something there, you multiply it together. So I'm going to take a 5, multiply it by 2, which is 10, multiply it by 3, which is 30, and we're going to be left with what is without a pair. So it's 30 square root of 3. Just make sure you got that. Variables. Okay, we still do a factor tree on 90. Okay, that doesn't change. And 90 is 10 times 9, 2 times 5, 3 times 3. So I got a 2, 2 3s, a 5. X to the 4th, y to the 5th. All right, take a look at that and see if you know what to do from there. 1 second, I'll let you get it. We'll write it on 4, see if they pick up on number 5. All right, Christian, what you got?
3x squared, y squared, radical 10y.
Okay, 3 from that pair. Okay, when your exponents, he's right. If it's an even number, basically you're gonna cut it in half, x squared. Okay, y squared, and then 2 times 5 is 10. And then anytime you got an odd power, it means you're gonna have one of them left over for that one. So, all right, that's kind of what we did from that first step. 3x squared, y squared, square root of 10y. What are you confused about, Joe? All right, y to the 5th. How many y's are there? I circle pairs, right?
Oh,
Okay, so then there's 2 y's that would come out, which give me y squared for that. All right, fractions. 15 over 64. Okay, in this case here, you do try to reduce first. This case here, it doesn't. So what you do is you take the square root of 15 over the square root of 64. And especially if you know the bottom is a perfect square. Okay, especially if you know the bottom is a perfect square, that helps out. Because what's, Joe?
I got the thing and then 5 over 8.
Hey, you gotta tell me what the thing is.
I don't.
We need to know.
Speak the language.
Square root. Yes. The square root of what?
5 over 8,
How'd the 15 turn into a 5?
divided by 3.
Why'd you do that? You don't need to in this case here because 15, I agree with square root of 64 is 8. 15 is 3 times 5. You don't get any pairs, so it's gonna stay square root of 15 over 8. So in that one, that would just be square root of 15.
Alright.
Now, the next one, I kind of made a mistake. Because this is one where when it does reduce, but it's actually gonna make it harder because I screwed up. You won't see something like this. Do we know the square root of 49?
Yes.
7. So go ahead and make this square root of 28 over square root of 49. What we have to do though is see whether 28 will factor or simplify again. I know the square root of 49 is 7. 28 is 4 times 7, which is 2 times 2. So what does that become? That becomes 2 square root of 7 because I got a pair of 2s. That is our final answer.
What was the mistake about?
Both of those are divisible by 7, which if you divide it first, then we haven't really talked about how to finish that one from there. Okay, so we know how to finish it is a perfect square. All right, so there's 6. 7, so this one here is a case where this actually will make this something that we can solve. I reduce it first. So take a look at your numbers, 18 and 32. What will divide into both of those? What number? What will divide into 18 and 32?
I don't know. 6y.
Well, no. We want to simplify. We want to reduce it like a fraction. Think 18 over 32. Okay, we want to reduce that fraction. What will go into both of those? 2. How many times does 2 go into 18? 9. And how many times does 2 go into 32? So that reduces to 9 over 16. Y cubed over y to the 7th does reduce to what? Top or bottom? Good. I got more y's on the bottom, so this is y to the 4th. All right, once I've reduced, now I say that's the square root of 9 over the square root of 16 y to the 4th. What's the square root of 9? And then the square root of 16y to the 4th is 4y squared. Okay, so that'll be our answer. All right, what about 8?
Wait, how come we don't carry over the y cubed from the 18 to the 9?
Okay, because here's what we did. Y cubed over y to the 7th. That becomes 1 over y to the 4th. We took 7 minus 3 to get 4.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay?
Wait,
8 should be really easy.
you leave that up there?
Is that what you wanted, Josh? All right, so number 8, they all have radical 3, but you got to watch here. If there's no number in front, put a what in front of there? Put a 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, 4 plus 2 is 6. Oh, is that what your last one says?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah, it
just a
should be.
45.
Okay. Cristiano, if they all have the same radical, then you just say 5 minus 1, which is 4, and then 4 plus 2, which is 6. So if you got 6 square root of 2 plus 4 square root of 2, That's just 10 square root of 2. Okay. And if you got 5 square root of 3 minus 7 square root of 3, that's negative 2 square root of 3. Okay, so that's what we do. Hey, we'll finish number 9 tomorrow. Obviously, yours is a little different than mine. No homework. Okay, we'll practice quiz tomorrow as well. Finish this up and then get ready for a quiz on Thursday. You hear that?
That's basically everything we did.
Yeah, because,
Just this.
you missed Friday.
Yeah.
So you, yep. So you need to try to get homework, see if you can figure it out. If not, maybe come in and period one of these days.
That's basically what we did.
Can you do this for my mom and then just pass it on to the next teacher?
Okay. Oh, the places you'll go.
Yeah. Thank you.